Today at home garden expert Tammy Algood shows us how to grow and care for tomato plants and how to sun-dry them at home. The belt sander can be a powerful help with projects at home, as tool specialist Leon Frechette demonstrates. And Linda Lee, owner of the Sewing Workshop in San Francisco, shows us how to make elegant designer pillows. Hi, I'm Edye Ellis. Welcome to the show. Tomatoes are so popular where I live that several counties vie for boasting rights, and even home gardeners point with particular pride to their tomato plants. Well, our first guest has never met a tomato she didn't ripe, and she's here to show us how to cultivate them, how to sun-dry them, and how to cook with them.
Great.
Welcome. Tammy Algood from the Tennessee Agriculture Extension Service. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you know, every drugstores, grocery stores, home garden centers, everybody sells tomato plants. How do we know which ones to choose?
Well, it's tricky business. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to get home and wonder why you don't have any tomatoes ripening on your vine. So there's a couple of things to look for on the plant.
Well,
Let me show you what we're looking for here. Here's a tomato plant that's obviously been in the pot too long. You can see that's long, spindly stems here. It's yellow leaves, how it's starting to dry up here. Plus, you never want to buy one in the pot that's already got blooms, much less that already has fruit.
Okay, so avoid those at all costs.
So avoid those, and this is just one that's been in low light, so it's gotten really tall and really spindly.
I know sometimes they're on sale, but don't get them.
Correct. You want them about 8 inches tall when you buy them in the pot. This one we've been growing in a container. You know, a lot of people grow them in the container on their patio.
Right.
The important thing to remember here is to tie them up. Otherwise, the fruit is so heavy that it pulls the whole plant down.
Okay.
And you've got fruit that's dragging the ground, that's increasing your possibility of insect damage, all kinds of things.
Sure.
So you want to stake it and tie it up much like this one. Don't worry about the foliage, really.
Okay.
The main concern is the fruit.
Okay, so if your foliage looks like this, it's not a disaster. You want to see what actually the tomato looks like.
The plant will shut down and quit feeding the leaves and start feeding the fruit, and that's what you want to happen. So this is fine.
So be careful if you're growing them in a container. Don't let them drag the ground.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
And Edie, here's what happens if you do let it drag the ground. See this one here? It started to bruise here, and it'll just get worse. Any fruit that drags the ground like that is just going to bruise.
Okay.
Now here's another common problem that people have with tomatoes that they grow at home are these split skins or these cracks that you see in here. That's caused by watering it after the plant has gone dry. So you go outside, you look at your plant, it looks really dry, so you give it a lot of water. Irregular watering will cause these splits in here. Okay. So you need to steadily water the plant, not dump a whole lot of water on it at one time.
Oh, I see. So just do it consistently, but never drench it. Never try to drench. Okay.
That's right.
Very good. That's good to know, because I think we've all been guilty of doing that.
And that's just a lot of waste that you've got to cut away there. Here's some that have been done correctly. There's lots of different kinds of tomatoes that you've got to choose from. These are beefsteak tomatoes, so they're larger than the normal ones. Actually, you need to store them at home like this, with the stem end up. And the reason for that is this right here is a very tender part of the fruit. It bruises very easily. So even the sheer weight of this fruit, if you store it this way, will bruise it.
In the refrigerator, out of the refrigerator?
Out of the refrigerator.
And a lot of people put theirs, if they're not quite ripe, in paper bags.
In a paper bag. That will help. That will help. Now, here's some more kinds. Here's some little bitty Bradley tomatoes. These are excellent. These are Roma tomatoes. These are my favorites.
They're mine too. Isn't
I
that
love
interesting?
these. And then here's the little cherry tomatoes. Now, this plant, of course, doesn't get nearly as tall, so you don't have to really worry about staking that one as much as you do the larger ones.
All right. And the Roma tomatoes seem to taste good all year round, don't they?
That's what I love about those.
I do too.
Now, let me show you how to dry these. This is going to be the easiest way to preserve
You know, I've always wanted to know how to do this, so this is great.
And this is so easy and very inexpensive. If you buy these in the grocery store, store. These are about $13 a pound.
They are.
They're very expensive, and it's just as easy to dry them at home.
Okay.
And it's very cheap. What I've got here is just a drying rack that I've used screening material, similar to what you would have for a screen door.
Okay. Do you need to prepare it in any way?
The only thing you need to do is make sure it's not galvanized or it will rust. So you want just regular screening material here. Now all we're going to do here is dry the tomatoes. But there's a couple things you've got to keep in mind before you do that.
All right.
If you just cut them and lay them on the rack and dry them, they're probably going to mold.
Oh, well then we don't want that.
That's right. You don't want to go to all this trouble. So what we want to do is steam blanch it first.
Okay.
And when I say steam blanch, you know, regular blanching, you dump it into some hot water and pull it out.
Right.
Steam blanching, we're going to be drying this, so we don't want to put it into water. We want to steam blanch it.
Right, I've got it.
Okay, so we've got our blancher going here. Just, you don't want the water to be very hot, about like this. We're going to put our tomatoes in there. Of course, you would probably do several steamed tomatoes for 3 minutes.
Okay, you could use a steamer, you're just using a little colander. But
That's right.
Okay, you don't want the tomato to come in contact with the water, though.
That's right, that's right. And leave it in there for 3 minutes. Here's one that we've already steam blanched, and it's already ready to go. Now, the reason that you do this, Edye, is the same thing that makes the fruit ripen makes it spoil. Okay. So you want to stop that process.
I see.
And blanching halts that process. And what's unfortunate is anytime you cut this, that accelerates the plant to start to decay.
Oh, I see. And that's basically the drying process, that you're breaking down the plant.
That's right. So you want to stop that in order long enough to dry it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're doing here.
I think I understand this for the first time now that you
Oh, good, good. Now let me show you what we do here. If you just laid these on here, they would probably dry to the rack. It gives a new meaning to tomato paste. So what we're going to do is just lay these on here, cover them with this netting material that keeps the bugs away, and leave them in the sun for about 4 days.
Is that right? And when we're finished, you're going
to store them in glass jars, and the reason for that is they're insect-proof and rodent-proof.
Okay, great. And then we have actually dried tomatoes.
That's right. That's right.
Good.
You can store them on your pantry shelf for up to a year.
Yeah.
They'll keep fine.
And they do so well in so many recipes.
Oh,
and I know you've got one for us today.
This is a great recipe. It's sun-dried tomato relish. And what we're going to do, Edye, here's some tomatoes that we've sun-dried. The easiest thing to do is just snip these like this with a pair of kitchen shears. And you see we've done this with about a cup or a cup and a half there of sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to add some balsamic vinegar to this. This is my kind of recipe. It's dump and stir.
Dump and easy.
Some red pepper to that. Some capers, which are flower buds of a caper plant that are pickled. And some red onion. Okay. And we're going to add about half a cup of fresh basil.
All right.
And some garlic.
Very good.
And
this looks great already.
A little bit of olive oil. I know, I'm getting very hungry.
Oh, it's deliciously. I noticed when you sun-dried these, you didn't add any salt or pepper. And so if you want to do it, it's at this stage to taste?
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. You'll find that you add a lot less if you do it that way.
All right.
And see how pretty this looks, Edye? You'll just,
it's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? We're going to store this in the refrigerator. Yeah. You can keep it in there for probably about 3 or 4 days.
Let's look at the finished one. I mean, that one's beautiful in the bowl, but when you think about, and really it's just just add a few chips, or you could add probably some bread or whatever you wanted to do. This is really great. This is lovely. You've given us just a whole lesson on tomatoes, and thank you very much. I can't wait to try to drying my own tomatoes. Thanks, Tammy. Stay with us. Tool specialist Leon Frechette shows us how to use a belt sander for home projects.